Hey everybody, I'm the Payments Professor and I want to welcome you to the What is Check Fraud course, the online course where learning what you need to know about check fraud, what it is, and how to prevent it is made easy to learn and easy to understand. Check fraud has been around for several decades. It is something that keeps changing, evolving, and costing many of us to suffer financial losses. Whether you are just looking to start building an understanding of what check fraud is and how to stop it, or you need to be able to educate your team, your senior management, maybe even your board, the What is Check Fraud course, it's the right place to start. With the What is Check Fraud course, you'll learn at your own pace, as each part of the course is separated into individual classes, and that's per subject, so you don't have to sit through the entire course all at once. Well, unless you want to. You can focus on one class at a time, then rewatch, relearn, and review. Rewatch, relearn, and review whenever you want. Plus, you are provided with a Payments Professor quiz and workbook, which can be downloaded and printed to follow along to help reinforce everything you're learning from the class lessons. This course and the included classes are educational, entertaining, and engaging way to be able to learn about check fraud. In the What is Check Fraud course,
we don't have any of those boring speakers or overload of boring slides.
We use real-life examples and simple explanations that are proven to help reinforce your learning and make learning about check fraud more engaging and even fun than ever before. Well, what will you learn in this course? We start off with, well, what is check fraud? Here, you'll be introduced to the basics of what check fraud is and how it works. Then it's on to, what are the different types of check fraud? You'll want to gain an understanding of the common types of check fraud. And then there's other questions we have to answer in other classes like, is it a lost, stolen, or counterfeit check? Here you'll discover the differences between a lost, stolen, or counterfeit check, and also why it's so important to know those differences. Then we'll discuss, well, what is a forged check? We'll take a look at what actually qualifies for something to be considered a forged check. And then we're going to go into even more types of check fraud. That's right, we'll be identifying additional ways that check fraud may take place. And to make sure you understand the check fraud, we'll have a quiz on the different types of check fraud. It's really to reinforce and review what you learned in the section dedicated just to check fraud. From there, we're going to move on to fraud prevention tips. We will have a section on consumer check fraud prevention. There, you will be able to discover what consumers can do to help prevent being a check fraud victim. And because it happens a lot to consumers, we also have Check Fraud Prevention Tips Part 2, just for consumers. Here, you'll recognize even additional ways that consumers can help to at least hinder and stop, or maybe at least prevent and lower check fraud. And what about those businesses? Well, there's some business check fraud prevention tips as well. In fact, a class dedicated to it, where you can gain an understanding of what businesses can do to be able to prevent or at least lower losses. And financial institutions, they get check fraud prevention in 2 parts. Here we'll explore tips and tactics that are available to financial institutions when it comes to the fight against check fraud. And again, another pop quiz. This one is on the check fraud prevention tips that have been given and what you can do. Here we'll review the many tips and tactics that are presented in the second half of the course that are able to help you prevent and stop check fraud when possible. Talk about all the possibilities though. And by the way, are you looking to get your AAP or APRP or maybe NCP credits? You get 2.2, that's right, 2.2 NCP credits. Learn more about check fraud so you can share the knowledge with your teammates, demonstrate quality job performance to your senior management, and keep your organization in compliance by learning, well, more about what is check fraud. Are you ready to get started? Then select the Enroll Now button to join, and I'll see you in class.